Howdy, y'all. Today is February 2nd. So yesterday I got a few things. This was a couple days ago. I did 10 tomatoes, some Baxter's, yellow pear. I had both of those tomatoes last year. They both did really well. I'm just using up the yellow pear seeds. I may do them again in the future. We'll see. And started a couple things at catnip. And also I had some onions from last year. I was really gung-ho on them, but didn't have much luck. I think I had 3 out of 150 I planted. They weren't that much fun to grow. They're kind of boring. I'm trying them a little different this year. We'll see if I have better luck. If so, I'll keep doing them. If not, probably won't do them again. They're not that interesting. Also did do a few radishes. This is just for the market, the final winter farmers market I have. Just get a couple bunches out there. But today on the agenda is finally cleaning out this fish tank. If y'all remember, I actually found this on the side of the road. Someone was tossing it out. So I knew I was going to be starting either crickets, mealworms, some sort of supplemental protein for the chickens. So really happy to find that. I don't know the exact method I'm going to grow the mealworms, but right now I'm just going to get it clean and done. I did bring the mealworms out that I have. I kind of loosely sorted them. This in here is definitely all beetles. Over here was a mix of pupa and mealworms. No mealworms at this point. Still have some pupa, those kind of light colored white things, and some beetles. So this one needs cleaned out. I'm only going to put beetles in the fish tank over there, and then they'll start laying eggs. I'll take the beetles out after, I don't know, a few weeks, and then I'll have eggs, mealworms, they'll pupate, and then I'll have more beetles. So that's the current plan today. I think I left my glass cleaner at home. I took a lot of the liquids home because it was so cold. I didn't want anything freezing out here. So I don't think I have anything to actually clean that with, but let me look in a couple spots. No glass cleaner, but it's all right. They're just worms. It's mostly aesthetics to make it look a little prettier on the outside, inside. But anyways, that's as clean as it's gonna get. For the material I'm gonna use, instead of oats, I'm gonna use pig feed. The biggest thing about using animal feed as a bedding substrate for mealworms is the potential for a sort of moth that'll hatch out of the grain and destroy the mealworm colony. But the way you get around that is you freeze the feed for a couple days. And this feed has been sitting out in the absolute freezing cold for weeks, so I'm not too worried about it. I'm slowly getting all the beetles and pupa, which are right there all moved over. I actually did have one mealworm in there, so maybe there's more. But the beetles will eat the pupa if there's not enough food around, so we're just gonna see what happens on that. Eggs can also get eaten. I mean, anything can get eaten except the beetle, pretty much. So just kind of keep an eye on it, but once again, I want this to be pretty hands-off. They like hiding under cardboard, so ripped off half of one of my egg cartons. Still got some carrots going in there, and they're enjoying that, it looks like, but I still have quite a few to move over. I'm actually still finding a lot of pupas, so I am going to go ahead and separate them out and only keep the beetles over here. "52 degrees today, y'all. It feels so nice outside. I'm gonna take down all these extra lines from the pig paddocks. I'm gonna feed the pigs because every time you walk by they act like they're starving, even though they're not. So I'll get them done. It's still a little early to do chores, but that'll make them happy. Howdy, y'all. Today is February 3rd. It's currently about 55 degrees. We're getting up to almost 70 today. So I'm interested to see if I have any bees left. because if I do, they're gonna be flying today. So fingers crossed that they made it through the winter. Since the weather is gonna be so nice today, I may go ahead and crack the hives just to see what they're looking like in there. If they haven't already died from disease or something else, then I probably will go ahead and put some sugar in there for them just to make sure they're not going to starve. So it's either starvation or some disease they picked up from mites, the varroa mites on flowers. So hopefully we see some activity today. I know the one at the farm was buzzing pretty good last month, so I haven't seen anything from these yet, but I'm not out here looking at these all the time either. So today I'm gonna run a quick errand and then we'll come back and check on these. Well, y'all, it's 60 degrees and unfortunately I'm not seeing any activity. Doesn't mean they're not alive, but it's probably not a good sign either. So I was able to crack this moment of truth. Doesn't look good, but I see bees. Still plenty of honey in there too. I don't know. Well, we have another dead out, unfortunately. You can see between the slats there, I've got a tiny little cluster right there, and that's it, but there's still plenty of honey. Well, maybe not plenty, but man, let me dig down a little deeper. Okay, digging into the honey super first, I went right for the middle because that's where the tiny cluster of bees was. They still have honey. There's that whole frame in there, a couple more frames on either side, so they still have honey. But you can see they were starting to go into the cells. Maybe they were getting too cold. I'm seeing a few pests. You can see, you can kind of see a varroa mite in there. So a couple of varroa mites. A couple small hive beetles. So I mean, there's that potential that they could have gotten some disease from that and wiped them out. Maybe they got too cold. I'm not exactly sure what happened there, but they still had food. This is the bottom board here. I have been looking for the queen. I haven't seen anything, but there's just not a lot of bees. Their population was all right going into winter. This is from the very bottom box. They still had some pollen. They start at the bottom and generally work their way up. So they still had some resources. Everything over there is kind of blank. But just a small colony at this point, and they maybe picked up something and wiped them out. They got too cold. I don't know what went on there. Unfortunately, we're probably going to run into the same issue with this hive. No bees are flying around at 60 degrees, so we'll crack it open. This one is looking sad, you guys. There's a really nice cluster of bees here. Really nice cluster of bees here. This hive's pretty light, so it looks like these guys may have actually starved, and that's really sad. I didn't get any honey from this hive. I left the super on. They had everything. I should have popped some sugar on here, and I think this hive may have made it because there's a nice chunk of bees in there. Man, that is such a bummer. All right, let's head to the feed barn, grab some chicken food, order some pig food, and then we'll head out to the farm, check on my final colony. Fingers crossed that they made it this far, and if so, I'll give them some sugar. Well, y'all, I'm not seeing any activity out here either. Seeing some dead bees by the entrance. Oh, let's crack it open and see what we're looking like. Well, I do have one bee buzzing around. I don't know if it's from this hive or not, or it could just be somewhere else. But this is kind of looking like the same situation as before. I couldn't get the cover off, so just flipped it upside down. There's some bees in there. This hive looks pretty light. Over here, I'm able to get in a little better. I can see a lot of bees at the bottom. I'll take out another frame so you guys can see a little better. Another hard one to look at, y'all. Got a ton of bees down here. This hive was a huge struggle to get going this year. You can see we've got Quite a few bees in there. The hive's pretty light, so this looks like it may be another starvation thing, especially with this amount of bees. My first colony I opened up, there was something else going on that might have been a disease. There weren't very many bees. They could have just been light going into the winter. But the last two that I opened just looks like a lot of bees going into winter and not enough resources to get through. So that is a bummer. If I've learned anything, I've tried it both ways now, feeding the bees versus not feeding the bees, taking supers off or leaving them on. I think it's best just to put some food in there no matter what it is. So going forward, I'll do that because I don't want to run into this situation again. But honestly, with whatever method that I've tried, I've only successfully gotten one hive through the winter once. And I think I've been doing this 3 or 4 years now, so I haven't had too much luck. I've tried a bunch of different ways and I haven't really found one way that works very well. I think that one was just luck, so I don't know. I don't have the answer. If there's some more experienced beekeepers, you're welcome to comment, but every beekeeper has a million different ways of doing things, and I mean, what works for one beekeeper might not work for another. Just location. I mean, there's so many factors in beekeeping, so I don't know, but it's a bummer to see this. They had a really nice setup, but just ran out of food, so I didn't get any honey from this hive either this year. They just had their 2 deeps and that was it, so it is what it is at this point. I wish I could get this lid off because this box actually does feel pretty heavy still compared to this one. So, I mean, there could still be some honey in there and they might not have starved, but that was a lot of bees. I don't know. As of right now, what I'm thinking on the bees moving forward for 2025, I will, if I can catch a swarm, great at any of the 3 locations. But no matter what, I do want to keep at least 1 hive out here. I mean, I would love to have 20 hives out here, but right now I'm just not having a lot of success with overwintering. So, I don't know, but we'll keep 1 hive out here for sure, whether it's a swarm or I buy a colony. We'll see what happens. Man, y'all, I am bummed about the bees, but it is what it is. I'm gonna let the chickens out, probably. How about this batch? Pigs, I've not fed them, as you can tell. Whenever you walk around, they get kind of ridiculous. So I'll prop this door open so they can go in. Actually, I'll use this piece of wood by the pigs. It is super muddy out here. I'm gonna feed you, don't worry. Not yet. Oh, it's so muddy. I think the chickens will like the fresh air though. Beautiful day out. Almost 70 degrees. Keep this open in case you guys need to run in for some reason. Keep you safe. That should do it. I did get some more bedding, so I do want to get that in there. That heat lamp needs tacked back up a bit better. But I have not done chores yet, so I'll probably start on that. It feels so good out right now. Totally comfortable in short sleeves. Nearly 70 degrees today. I love it. Gotta enjoy it because tomorrow it's gonna be a high of 40. But yesterday I did get that maple tree staked, so that's nice. It was kind of leaning, so now it'll grow nice and straight. Did a little bit of pruning on it as well, thanks to my dad. I've been working through this bucket of walnuts. I also threw in a few acorns. I grabbed them this fall. This bucket was completely full, but I feed the pigs a few every day. They really enjoy it. It's crazy. They can crunch through those walnuts like it's nothing. Up in the grow room now. Looks like the beetles have chilled out on that carrot. They're mostly all hiding under that carton I can see in there. Get everything watered real quick. Still waiting on some seeds to come in the mail, so probably won't be doing much planting today. I threw in some more bedding, so all the chickens are wanting to dust bathe at the moment, so I don't want to interrupt them. I'll let them do the thing. And I still got to do water, but everything has food at the moment. Pigs are fine. They're just being noisy anytime I come near them. I think these guys are probably still... hanging out in the back, dust bathing, eating. But I didn't put any bedding in the ones behind the barn here, so I'll do them. Howdy y'all, today is February 4th. We have some radishes starting to sprout, so we've got a nice little chunk of those. Those will be ready to go in just about a month. Beautiful sunset. It's been nice and pink the past few days. But today it's 40 degrees, but when the sun was out, it didn't feel half bad, so didn't do much outside though. Mostly was upstairs getting the garden planned. I'd say I'm about 90% done with that, which is a great feeling. So I'm really excited for the garden this year. Since the sun is setting, I do want to go into this coop because maybe 20 birds or so don't want to use the roost, and I don't want them to get used to hanging out in the nesting box area. I did dismantle it, but they still like hanging out there, and they just poop all over it, and it gets really gross. And once they do start laying eggs, I don't want them messing up the nesting boxes. So I'm just gonna stand here and keep the chickens off. They're getting better about going up on the roost without me standing here, but for the past 3 evenings, this is what I've been doing, just to train them. The other coop's fine, they all use the roost, but this coop for whatever reason just is bad. But while I'm standing here making sure chickens don't get behind me, I'm trying to be a little more organized with the garden this year. I might not be able to talk because the chickens do get a little mad that I'm in here not letting them go up, but I don't want them up here. But anyways, I have everything mapped out in this. I'm going to try and keep this up to date and good, so that way I can reference it for next year. I have some light notes from the past 2 years, but the first year was very frantic just to get something in the ground. I mean, I didn't even have a well when the season started. It was just kind of getting the property set up the first year. So the garden wasn't a huge focus, but it was something going on. Last year, it was a bit tough because I knew I was taking off for Italy right in the middle of the summer, so it was hard to get excited about the garden because I knew I wouldn't be able to tend to it for the time while I was gone. So I didn't want to do too much and then put too much on family watching the farm for me if they had enough on their plate. So I didn't do much with the garden last year either. But this year, I'm planning on being here the entire summer. I'm super, super excited for everything. I'm going to be planting a few new things that I've never grown before, and I'm really excited for them. So I'll share more details on that as time goes by. But right now, I'm just getting planting dates all lined out. I think I have that pretty much done at this point, which is a really good feeling. Howdy y'all, today is February 6th. The radishes are looking good. I threw the rest of the seed pack in here, which is probably around 40 seeds, which is a lot for this tiny tub. So I may need to move them around because it looks like all of them are coming up. The germination rate's been really great with those. I planted these in the fall. They did amazing. Today I did notice I finally had one of my bush cherries popping up right there. So that's cool. It's the first tomato, and it did have a tiny catnip. It's microscopic. Those things are so small. But it did have one starting to sprout there. Nothing else yet, but I'm excited to at least have those two going, and the rest should be going pretty soon as far as the onions, the other tomatoes, and then one more catnip. So everything's all watered. Don't have the light on over here. Don't need it. Been having a little bit of issues with this thermostat. We changed it out to a larger one. But there's some weird default settings on it, and sometimes I'll walk in here and it's 60 degrees, which isn't ideal. So I even tried looking at the little manual here. Couldn't figure it out for the life of me. So my dad's gonna look at it. He's better with stuff like that. So hopefully we'll get that all sorted out today. Also today, we still need to set up this table over here. So probably just put a board there, another board on this side, and hang the light off of that. So that's kind of the last thing in this room that needs set up, but everything's looking pretty good. And then the bugs over here, I have the pupa just hanging out underneath, and I have a beetle right there, that little white thing. So I need to get him out and pop him in up here with all of his buddies. I put in a new carrot. I'm waiting for him to finish eating on that gross one, and then I'll get that out. But it seems like the beetles are doing pretty good. They're really loving this egg container over here, hanging out in and on it. But that's about it in the grow room at the moment. My plan is to sift this out on the 23rd, so that gives the beetles about 3 weeks to lay eggs. Then I'll clean all this out, and this substrate I will put in a different tub, wait for the mealworms to hatch, and then meanwhile all the beetles will be in this tank again with new bedding, laying more eggs, and we'll repeat the process. So we'll slowly start seeing an increase on that, and then I'll finally be able to start feeding the chickens some. But I really just want to raise up a bunch first, and I may even buy a bunch of beetles or mealworms just to speed the process up. But it's been so cold, you can't really ship them, so just working with what I got here with my 300. Howdy out. Today is February 7th. Sorry it's a little bit dark, but end of the day, just got everything loaded up for the farmer's market, which is tomorrow. So I'm really looking forward to that. The one in January was canceled because of snow, so it feels like forever since I've been to one. But really looking forward to tomorrow.